Eddie in the bath, and she's like, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talking About Balls. We got to have George's wife do it for us every week because she started us right on time. George is always running us late, so thank you, Kelly. We appreciate that.
Right on time.
I'm not used to actually starting at 7. That's why I was mid-sentence because I'm so used to George. Like we don't start till like 7:10, give or take. But I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talking About Balls. I am Justin George, joined as always by Kyle Price. We are here. George will be with us soon in give or take about 10 minutes or so. He's picking his son up from practice. So we are going to get the ball rolling. This episode's going to be a little bit different. We're going to do things a little out of order because Kyle has to take off at 8. So
health benefits.
Yeah, he's got to go through the healthcare. He got kicked off Medicaid at his old age last week because of the government shutdown ended. So Kyle's got to find a new insurance provider. So he's got to work through all that tonight.
That's getting old.
But yeah, so we're going to do things a little bit differently. We'll start off, we'll recap. We'll do a little BS. I don't really have a whole lot to talk about BS-wise. I mean, I had a pretty adult week, I'll tell you that. And then once we're done with BS, we'll get right into the Browns recap with the Ravens. Obviously, we'll talk about Shedeur Sanders, who got his first NFL action. Then we will get into the NFL recap, and then we'll get right into picks to make sure Kyle gets all of his picks this week and before he gets off the air. And then we will say goodbye to Kyle, and then I will wrap up the rest of the show with some normal stuff. Truthfully, I might end the show whenever I finish everything. I might not go till 9 just because I do have a lot of shit to do, and we'll get to that here in BS. My week since the show last week, pretty boring, pretty mundane. Friday night, came home from work, hung out with the family, took care of leaves. My yard's huge. I have leaves everywhere. So doing leaves takes days. It takes hours. So I did that. Saturday, woke up, same thing, right to adulting stuff. We went out and worked on the garage. We cleaned the garage all day, so it's ready for Tara to park in for the winter. And did a lot of work. So got that taken care of. Sunday, just hung out, watched football. Nothing too crazy on Sunday. And then nothing for the rest of the week. And then today, Teddy had an eye doctor's appointment. She has a little issue with her right eye where the doctor thought maybe there was like a blocked tear duct or something like that. Her right eye would kind of look irritated every once in a while. So they were like, take her to an eye doctor. So we took her to the pediatric eye doctor. They gave her some drops. They did a bunch of tests. Basically, they think that there's just there's a duct issue where all the tears aren't cycling through like they're supposed to. So some of them just stay in her eye, and that causes some bacteria. So that's what makes her eye look a little irritated every once in a while. So the doctor, no, nothing ever shows up. It's literally just like she'll go to bed and she'll wake up some mornings and her right eye will look like she got punched in the eye. It's just like kind of like dark, and it eventually it goes away. And then the other morning she'll wake up and it's just like, you'll see it looks like she's crying, but she's not crying. It's just a tear running out. And then every once in a while it'll just be like kind of gunky. So we were like, shit, does she have like a pink eye or something? And then it turns out it's a common thing with kids.
Start farting her pillows, Dad. I mean, Jesus.
I already do, and it's not affecting her left eye; it's just the right eye. So, so they gave her some drops, and they say the drops should help get rid of all that. It's got a steroid in it or whatever, and they said basically she'll be on these drops for 2 weeks. We'll let the doctor know how the progress is, and if there's not progress, there is a procedure that they can do where they basically just go in and like stretch open the tear duct. They said with adults, they do it right in the facility, but with little kids, they have to. It's a little more. You have to go downtown because obviously little kids aren't chill like an adult. Like an adult can just be like, "Hey, we need you to lay still." Kids don't listen, so it's a little more involved. So we'll see, but hopefully these drops work, and we'll go from there. It's not a huge deal. It's just we notice like her eye's a little funky looking every once in a while. But then we finished her appointment, and I already had lunch at work, so I was like, I'm going to go home and take a shower and just get ready for the show. And Tara's like, well, I was thinking since we're out here, we can go to Crocker Park and like get food. I was like, well, I'm not hungry at all. So she's like, well, we'll go somewhere and get a beer. And I'm like, okay, that sounds good to me. So we decided we were like, let's go to Bar Louie. Shows you how long it's been since we've been to Crocker Park. Apparently, Bar Louie shut down for good in March of 2025. Did not know that. I feel like we just went there like a year ago because that was our spot. We went to Bar Louie all the time. They always had pretty cheap drinks. They had good specials. So I really liked going there. Shit, I always forget to click comments. There he is. Hey, what's up, Dave? So we went to Cheesecake Factory instead, which I hadn't been to Cheesecake Factory in probably a decade. So
their encyclopedia of a menu that they have.
That menu is absurd for a guy who, again, I just wanted like a snack. I didn't want real food. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? There's so like every page is just a menu, and then the other side has ads all over it. It's just nuts. How's it going, Sam? Thanks for watching. And then, so we eat really quick at Cheesecake Factory, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to run home, but on the way home, I'm going to stop and pick up Teddy's prescription. So we start driving, and then I get on 71, 480, 271 South, and I don't know if there was an accident or whatever, but it was a fucking parking lot, and it's like 5:45, and I'm like, this sucks. This is really pushing it for me to get home for the show. So I got off at Snow Road, ran and picked up her prescription at Giant Eagle there in Brook Park, and I took Pearl all the way home, and I made it home at like 6:40. So I made it home just in time for the show.
Nice. What a day. What a day.
So that's why I'm probably gonna end the show early because I want to go shower and relax and enjoy a little bit of my day where I can just sit on my ass for a minute.
You had a very adult couple days. I did too. We officially hit last week, probably 2 weeks that Jess has not left the house since Vegas.
You guys have been sick.
She was real sick last week. It's like she got better for like a day, and then I went out of town for work last week. And then I started feeling kind of crappy again, not as bad as she did, but she was horrible. She had like a fever every single day, and she couldn't break it. Colleen ended up putting her on antibiotics for the last couple of days. It kind of finally broke through. Last night, she went with me to bowling. First time that she's been out of the house in forever, so it was kind of nice. But we had a very chill, did nothing weekend. We just sat at home. We watched movies, TV shows, relaxed, did nothing. So it was kind of we got our Christmas decorations up. We went out and took down all of our Halloween decorations, and in the full swoop, took them all down. I cut the grass real low, got it real low, got everything prepared for the winter, and then put up the Christmas decorations, got lights up. We're going this weekend to get a couple more smaller decorations, some more lights we want to put up, but we're pretty much set. And we're not the first ones. Driving through our neighborhood, there's people who already have Christmas decorations up. We're probably going to put our Christmas tree up this weekend too.
Too early.
Just to get it over with. And the thing too with the decorations, like we put them up last weekend, which was like 70 degrees last Saturday.
It was beautiful.
I'd rather put them up when I'm 70 and nice than it's 30 degrees and snow. So to me, if they're up early, they're up early. I don't give a shit. They're up. So I mean, other than that, no, it's just kind of worked and came down here. Now I'm in Columbus for the next 3 days, back home Friday evening, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, unless something changes, we have plans with the Sherwoods on Friday to go see them for a little bit. So
now I'm sure you're familiar with Spirit Halloween stores.
Yeah.
So I saw an article the other day that said that they have introduced. There's not one very close to us, but they have introduced Spirit Christmas stores.
I've been looking for one because I saw the advertised last year. And we, as my company, we work with them nationally. And we supply people to them to get stuff set up and tore down for their seasons. And I've been looking for a Spirit Christmas close, but I don't think there's one close to us. I think there's one on the east side of Cleveland, I think.
Yeah, I think I saw the closest one might be the one in where was it? Worcester? No. I don't remember. There's like 3 in Ohio. I did look at the list. I forgot where, but
here we go. Yeah,
like,
Mentor, North Canton.
That's it.
Mentor and North Canton.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, North Canton's give or take like a half hour, 45 minutes away.
I would make the drive because I'm curious, because if they have all the cool decorations like they do for Halloween, I'm curious what they have for.
Actually, you're a little further west, so for you maybe like an hour, give or take, but still,
an hour, yeah,
it's not that bad. Dave, you said you're going to Vegas for New Year's. That's nuts, dude. I couldn't imagine Vegas on New Year's. I went once. I went for the NFL draft. It was fine. It's just not for me. I like just give me cheap beers. I'm not a huge gambler in terms of like table games or card games. I don't play cards. I like sports betting. So, I mean, Vegas was cool to experience, but like for me, I don't know, just not my cup of tea. I miss the old Vegas that people always talked about, that, you go there and like you get you try to find like the $10 buffet and you get your drinks comped all the time and like everything's cheap and fun. And now it's like, it's so expensive. It's turned into a tourist trap. So for me, didn't love it. My first experience, did not love it.
I'm good if I don't go back to Vegas for a while. I think we're taking next year off.
I remember last week you're thinking about.
We're planning on maybe doing Virginia Beach next year. We're planning on maybe doing maybe something else later in the summer. But I think we are going to skip Vegas next year officially.
Don't blame me one bit. I'm trying to convince Tara to go to Disney again, but I don't think she's going to take the bait.
Yeah, jealous.
I
we
want
to
to.
go there. It's so much fun.
She's like, we're not going to Disney again for like 10 years. I'm like, I'm thinking like every other at minimum would be fine with me.
Well, next you got to do the Disney cruise. Get out on the boat and do the Disney cruise.
See, I don't think I want to do that. I've never been on a cruise. I love the Disney parks so much that like I just want to be in the parks. Like I don't need, like, I'm sure the cruises are amazing. Don't get me wrong. I've seen people post from them and they look awesome, but I don't know. I'm weird. I don't want to be cooped up on a cruise. I want to be able to like go do shit. So like I know there's plenty to do. Don't get me wrong. I know you're not just like a stowaway, but I don't know. I would try a cruise, but I don't think it's for me. Not my cup of tea. All right, well, we'll get into it now then, because like I said, Kyle does have to go. So we will get into the Browns-Ravens recap. The game started off pretty decently. The Browns... Oh, I'm sorry, I did want to talk about Bernie first, but we could skip that for now. Kyle threw me the curveball today that we were changing up everything. So we're going off on the cuff, or on the fly here.
Sorry, my bad.
It's all good. We'll fit it all in. We'll make it work. Browns and the Ravens played on Sunday afternoon in Cleveland. Why they made it a 4:25 game, I'll never understand that.
Are they playing 4 o'clock this weekend too?
This weekend they are, but that's because they're in Vegas. So that would make sense. They're on the West Coast. Last Sunday they were in Cleveland, so a 4:25 game for Cleveland didn't make any sense to me, but that's the NFL for you. So the Browns were facing the Ravens. The Browns defense was shutting Lamar Jackson down. They had a decent lead for most of the game. We had a pick six from Devin Bush. We had an interception from Carson Schlesinger. I think Lamar Jackson threw 2 or 3 interceptions that day. I think at least, I think 2. Dylan Gabriel looked fine. I mean, he did what we expect him to do. Don't turn the ball over. Just be smart. Drive the team down. Couldn't find the end zone, but we got some field goals. And then Dylan Gabriel took a hit right before halftime. A good shot to the head from Kyle Hamilton. He popped right up. You wouldn't have expected anything to be wrong with him. And then he went to the locker room, and apparently during the halftime break, the independent neurosurgeons or whatever, neurodoctors, they tested him for a concussion, and he was ruled out of the game with a head injury. So the second half... No, I watched the replay of the hit. He took a shot right to the head. So
it's
I was like,
weird timing. The joke's there. It's just weird timing that we all talked about. Something's going to happen where they're going to give Shedeur time, and now suddenly Gabriel gets a concussion, and now he's out next week now. So whatever. I'm sure he really got a concussion. I'm just saying it's just funny to me.
Yeah, for me, the way I saw Shedeur play, it's where I go, okay, yeah, no, the Browns definitely aren't trying to force this guy onto the field. So that,
well, hey, maybe he's got a whole week of reps this week. Maybe it's a different story this week playing the Raiders. We'll see.
Don't know. We'll get into it. I mean, he was 4 of 16 with an interception and took 2 sacks for minus like 25 yards. So it was a really bad outing, like statistically one of the worst debuts of all time. Not even trying to be funny. It was literally that bad. So
I was trying to look for bets of total sack yards that you could get, like bet on them. Like, is it over 25 negative sack yards? That doesn't exist, but I was looking for it.
No, that's free money if they let you make that bet, because there's no way that doesn't happen.
Well, you always make the 1 interception bet with Flacco. I think you can put it back on the menu now, which standards at least 1 interception a game. So
yeah, I mean, did you see FanDuel posted his over under for total yards, and they have him at 159.5 for his total yards over under passing yards. That is not a lot. So that's a bad sign. And, Vegas is a bad team. So the fact that Vegas has it set at that, Vegas in terms of gambling has it set at 159.5 is not a good sign for Shedeur. But there is a part of me that's like, that's too low. Like, he can't be that bad.
It's currently 158.5 now.
Oh, it went down a yard. Okay, so they think even less of him. Normally, when there's more bets, it goes up. It's the opposite. I was truly thinking about taking the over because I'm like, come on, 160 yards. That's 40 yards a quarter. That's not that much at all. Like, you could get that on 20 yards on one drive, 20 yards on another. Your yards, no problem.
Props here. Let's see here.
I didn't look up rushing props yet. He's not much of a scrambler, so I wouldn't expect it to be much.
Over under 21.5 right now.
I would probably take the under just because, again, he's not much of a scrambler. It really just depends. The only thing that could change that would be similar to like a Patrick Mahomes style, where Patrick Mahomes isn't, he's not a scrambler, but if they leave it open, he'll take off. And I feel like Sanders might do the kind of similar where like he's not looking to run first, but if they leave a huge gap and he sees like, okay, this linebacker's not looking at me, I can take off for 15 yards here. Maybe he could hit those yardage. So until I see him play a full game, I'm not touching him for rushing, but passing, I'm like, dude, come on, 160, you could do that, right? Right?
I think
you're an NFL quarterback.
More comfortable this week, I think. I would hope now that you've actually thrown the ball to Jerry Jeudy for the first time ever in an actual game.
I also he did everything that I expected him to do, and this was not a knock on Sanders. I'm not an anti-Sanders guy. I'm just realist. I didn't like him coming out. I didn't like any of the quarterbacks in this class. I was very adamant about that. I thought Cam Ward was not good. I couldn't believe he was going to be the number 1 overall pick. I thought Shedeur wasn't going to be good. I know I talked about it on this show where I tried to force him into a mock draft because I was like, dude, to be honest, I can't find a spot for him. He's a day 2 pick in my opinion at best. And then, as you go further on, obviously, Will Howard, Dylan Gabriel, Jalen Milroe, all these guys, I wasn't a fan of them coming out. I was like, these guys are just a bunch of average quarterbacks. So maybe they could be backups, which was what I think it's obvious what I think they drafted Dylan Gabriel to be. Dylan Gabriel was drafted to be a career backup quarterback, which I'm okay with. If you look around the NFL, again, even going into this week, look at how many backup quarterbacks are playing this week. It's a good position to have on your team if you have a decent one. And I know Dylan Gabriel's not lighting the world on fire by any stretch, but he's also not playing as bad as people are portraying him out to be. I know Browns fans spend weeks shitting on him, but I mean, for a dude who they claim can't see over the line of scrimmage, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, he can, keep control of the ball, control the clock a little bit. Again, I know I'm not saying he's great. I'm not saying he's a franchise quarterback, but he's not as bad as people are pretending he is. He is a good.
He's literally a Band-Aid. That's all he is.
He is a backup game managing quarterback, and that's a good thing to have in the NFL, assuming we're going to be taking a quarterback with a high pick next year. Not a bad problem to have. So Shedeur came in at halftime, started the second half at quarterback. His final stats were 4 of 16 passing, 25% passing. Not great. A couple drops. I'll give him that. I'm not knocking him. I think Fannin had a drop. I think Judy dropped one, maybe. I don't remember. I'm not counting the Larva didn't play as a drop because that was just a good defensive play. I mean, the defender had his hand right on the ball and ripped it out. That's not a drop. That's just a really good defensive play. To be honest, I know no one wants to hear this, but that was an underthrown ball by Sanders, and if the defender turned around, it was probably an easy interception. But I digress. I find myself not trying to be a Shedeur hater, but again, I'm just trying to be a realist about it. I broke my own cardinal rule. I went on Twitter yesterday and I commented on somebody's post, and I didn't even think anything of it. I was just commenting to Brian Baldinger of all people. So Brian Baldinger made a post yesterday where he does his quote unquote film breakdown. And he said, let's forget all the other plays. Let's just watch Shedeur's final 8 plays here on the last possession of the Browns. So I just made a comment where I just put in quotes, yeah, let's skip all the other snaps and only do it when the Ravens had a 7-point lead and went into prevent. LOL or something like that. I didn't think anything of it. I just tweeted at Brian Baldinger, turned my phone on, or put my phone down, whatever. Didn't think anything of it. I opened Twitter up 25 minutes later. My mentions were just full of people that were really fucking mad at me for saying that because they don't understand football, and of course, and they're telling me the Ravens are up 7 with a couple minutes to go. Why the fuck would they be playing prevent? And I said, well, do you understand what prevent defense is? They're trying to prevent the offense from having a big play on them and scoring. Their goal is to keep the ball in front of them, kill clock, and not give up a touchdown. When the fuck else would a team play prevent other than when they have the lead late? And then people just kept going, you don't know what you're talking about. Everything was just basically people telling me I'm wrong. And then I would straight up go, okay, tell me why I'm wrong. Like, give me an answer here. And then they would just, no one could answer. So it was just, they would respond, but it would just be the same thing where they would just say like, you don't fucking know anything about football. You've never played in your life. And I'm like, okay, tell me about prevent then. If I'm wrong, tell me why I'm wrong. And then the one dude was like, here's a YouTube clip of Ed Reed talking about prevent defense. And I'm like, that's not a fucking definitive. You're not telling me like what prevent defense is. Ed Reed's just explaining how his team played prevent defense. Like, I'm like, you're not answering me. So basically nobody could fucking give me an answer. And I forgot that this feature is a thing. I just hit mute conversation. It was glorious. I haven't seen a notification for it since in about 24 hours, and I don't care to, because again, everyone I was dealing with were just really stupid people. There were a couple people that were on my side, and they were like, when the fuck else would a team play prevent than when they have a lead late in the game? Because their job is to prevent the other team from scoring. Like, everyone was like, they blitzed him on every play. And I was like, okay, I watched the game, and then I watched the tape, and I said, no, they blitzed him on 2, maybe 3 of the snaps on that final drive. Everything else was a 4-man rush, which is not a blitz, and they were playing a soft zone where the linebackers and corners were in the secondary literally were going, okay, let them catch it in front of you and then make the tackle. That's a prevent defense. They're giving up the underneath play to kill clock and to avoid getting beat over the top. That's literally what the defense is by definition. So I went back and forth with a handful of people till people started getting mad. And then like one kid I was arguing with, I guess I didn't realize he maybe just based on his picture, maybe a high schooler. I didn't actually look at his profile picture till after we went back and forth a couple times. I mean, I was being relatively cordial. I was just saying like, this is what a prevent defense is. And he's like, no, they blitzed them on every play. And I'm like, no, a blitz is 4 or more guys or 5 or more players. I said these rushes had 4. So I said, by definition, that's not a blitz. And he just responded with, this is when I knew he was a child. He said, look at your last few replies. You don't have any likes on them. That's how I know you don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, oh my God. I said, so you think a like on Twitter is actually like matters? I'm like, I was like, I apologize. I didn't know I was dealing with a literal child. I said, go to bed, do your homework, and have a great life. And I just muted the conversation.
Say your prayers, eat your vitamins.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, buddy, everything will be fine. But yeah, no, I got into it with a few people. But again, it's just like idiots that were like, no, they weren't playing a prevent. Why would the team play a prevent with a lead late? And I'm like, when the fuck else would a team play prevent defense? But the defenders for Shedeur are, of course, out in full force. I'm not even trying to shit on the guy. Maybe I think no doubt he looks better on Sunday. There's almost no way he could look worse, in my opinion. But again, I was very
adamant. What did he have to do on Sunday for you to be like, maybe there's something there?
I mean, truthfully, a full 180 from how he played on Sunday, and I'm talking like he needs to show us that accuracy. His knock in college and his knock from my perspective and from people that like scout was that he holds the ball too long, takes a bunch of sacks because he's worried about his completion percentage. So he would take a sack instead of throwing the ball away because it counts as an incompletion, which is horrible. You're hurting your team. So if he can show me that he's got some brains, I'm not trying to be mean, but if he can show me that he has brains as a quarterback and he can read a defense, because Sunday it looked like he has no fucking clue what he's looking at. He was sliding the offensive line and the protection in the wrong direction. He was making bad reads with passes. He, obviously threw that interception, which was a horrible play. He ran backwards and panicked a bunch when he got a little bit of pressure. So it's just all the things he did in college where we were like, that's bad. He needs to work on that. He's still doing them all. So I don't think he's going to change that in a week where he's going to all of a sudden have pocket awareness and pocket presence. For me, I mean, I'm at the point, like, dude's a 5th round pick. Browns are looking like they're going to have a top 5 draft pick next year. They obviously have Jacksonville pick, which we're rooting against Jacksonville every week. The earlier that pick can be, the better, to give us ammo to trade up for a quarterback if need be. So he, for me, needs to go out there and legitimately play like an MVP. That's the only way I'm really going to like the guy. I can't have him look okay and go like, let's say hypothetically he starts the rest of the season. What are we at, week 12? So let's say he starts the next 6 games. If he's out there and he goes in 6 games, if he can give me like 10 touchdowns and like maybe 2 or 3 interceptions, I'd be like, okay, that's pretty damn good. I'd like that in a 6-game span. But if he goes out there and he's like 5 touchdowns, 5 or 6 interceptions, pretty fucking average, pretty bland, move on. He's not somebody to build around. We need to really worry. This to me is the biggest offseason in Browns history since the last one a couple of years ago. But
I was going to say, wait a minute. I think we have a lot of those big off seasons.
We do, and this is a big one, though. I mean, this is a year where they have all the tools and assets to get themselves a franchise quarterback. I think this quarterback class is pretty decent. You know me, I'm a huge Fernando Mendoza fan. He's my quarterback one. I don't mind Ty Simpson. I don't mind Dante Moore. I'm gonna do a little more research on those guys because Fernando Mendoza, in my opinion, is the number one pick. I think he is the top quarterback, and there's not much he can do to really hurt his draft stock. Because again, I'm not a stat watcher. So I heard some people saying like, I like him, but I need to see him play against Ohio State. And for me, I'm like, I don't really care. He's playing on Indiana. Indiana, for the most part, their offense has Fernando Mendoza and maybe another player or two that might be an NFL caliber player. Whereas Ohio State's defense has, give or take, out of the 11 men at any given time on the field, 7 to 8 of them are NFL caliber players. So he can look decent as a quarterback, but the talent that's playing with him is not up to that talent of Ohio State. So I'm never just going to look at a box score and be like, yeah, Mendoza looked terrible. I've seen enough from my perspective to show that I think he has really good pocket presence. He has a good arm. He makes good decisions. He's got a good size for a quarterback. He's like 6'5", 6'4", which is great. So for me, I'm sold on Mendoza. But again, I understand that I think you need to get the number one overall pick to get him. Right now, the Titans and the Saints are sitting above the Browns, which you might think of them and go, well, they already have their quarterback. That's great. Problem is, that's when teams want to trade. They're going to say, come get the number one pick for a king's ransom. And I don't want the Browns to have to trade a shitload of draft picks to move up to number one if they're at like 3. So for me, tank. Don't lose to the fucking Raiders on Sunday. Or don't win against the Raiders on Sunday. Lose to the Raiders, please. Because the Raiders are another team that if they jump you in the draft, they are taking a quarterback next year. So the Browns need to really be smart and not try to go out there and play hero ball at any given time because you're just going to fuck yourself for the future. But if they go out there and win on Sunday in the next 6 games, as I said, is Shedeur playing, all pro level football, I would say, okay, maybe he is somebody we can build around. Maybe this 5th round pick is a fucking steal and we can use our 1st round picks on, whatever. But I really need to be blown away. If he looks mediocre and the Browns, what's his face a couple of years ago, Will Levis. Remember Will Levis from Tennessee looked okay. And the Titans were like, fuck it, Ryan Tannehill, you're out. We're going with Will Levis. He's our quarterback. And he was fucking ass. And then it tanked their season and they had to get Cam Ward. Then they fired their coach. I don't want the Browns to do that. Don't go in with Shedeur because he looked decent. He either needs to look great or you move on. That's it to me. Okay. I'm not waiting around for him. And his debut on Sunday leaves me no reason to think he's going to be good. Truthfully, I know it was really bad.
With the week of training now with the ones and actually getting some reps and actually getting out there and running, I'm like you said, he can't look much worse. So I'm just hoping to see, protect the ball, don't turn it over, get the ball down the field, make smart moves, and the thing too that I think I read an article or maybe it was on ESPN where like the linemen were like, we couldn't hear him sometimes. Like he was very kind of quiet when he's calling out stuff. And they go, some of the plays we kind of just went on memory. We kind of just did our own thing. And so that needs to change too. Like he's got to be more confident behind the line, like you said, calling out the protections and stuff like that. He's got to be more confident and louder so they know what's going on because that's gonna hurt him too. I mean, he took some of those big sets probably because he didn't call it out or they didn't know what they were doing or what they needed to,
And that's the thing too is there's people watching tape after the fact that again, I'm not trying to belittle people. Me, I love sports. I know a lot about sports. I don't try to sound condescending to most people unless someone comes to me and they're kind of a dick, then I'll be condescending. But for the most part, I'm totally okay with educating. Like if somebody has a question about sports or if they say something wrong, I'm very happy to explain to them what happened. And that happened with the quote unquote tape people were watching of the game on Sunday where they're looking at the offensive line and you see 3 guys on the offensive line all go to the right. And a blitzer comes right up the middle. No one touches him. And everyone's like, look at this. They're sabotaging him. They're not even looking at him. You have to understand that in the NFL, it may look horrible on tape, but that's his job. His goal and pure objection on one snap might be, hey, you go to the right. You cover whoever is there to the right. So if a guy comes in from the left, you don't just turn and try to do whatever you want and go rogue. This isn't backyard football. If you're told, block this side, you block that side in the NFL. And if you end up not touching anybody, you just stand there by yourself. That's just what you have to do. It looks bad on tape to common fans that are breaking down the Browns offensive lineman tape. But that's what they were fucking told to do by Shedeur. When Shedeur says, hey, you guys slide right, so you see the center, guard, and right tackle all just go to the right next to each other, and there happens to only be one guy because the Ravens did a little bit of a stunt where, you know, a guy might come around from another side. That's the play call. That's the Ravens had a good defensive play call that beat the offense's play call. Like, that's just how the NFL works. You can't go, oh, they're sabotaging him. It's just, again, it's stupid fans that don't understand football. And it drives me fucking bananas because I just want to educate people, but then people get mad at you and they just turn into dickheads because it's the internet and, you know, everyone's a keyboard warrior. So that's what I was dealing with for the last couple of days, trying to just educate people. But it is what it is. I'm over it. You know, again, 4 of 16, an interception. You know, the one funny thing that people keep talking about all week is they're like, you know what? I like Shedeur already better than Gabriel because he's not afraid to throw it deep, or, you know, he'll throw basically that. They're like, he'll go deep, he opens up the field a little bit. But then I look and I'm like, he was 4 of 16. Just because he's willing to throw the ball deep and he does it poorly, that's not good. Like, that's not a good quality to have in a player.
Like, I mean, that's what we liked about Baker, right? Is that Baker took those chances that some quarterbacks wouldn't, right? And that's just who Baker is, though, right? And that's what you
even in Baker's defense, Baker never had a 25% completion percentage game. Like, that's historically bad. And you know,
that's the thing. It's the same thing that Cleveland lives through. It's just the repeat, wash, rinse, and repeat. Because when Baker came in, when what's his face was it Tyrod Taylor that got hurt? When Baker got the chance against the Jets, they were excited about him because he took the chances. He took the throws down the field. He got the ball out of his hand quickly, right? So then it's like, oh my God, we're having a second coming as somebody who likes to take chances and likes to risk it. So yeah, it's just Cleveland fans being Cleveland fans, man. That's just what it is.
And the funny thing is about those two debuts, very similar. Both came in the evening. Both came in the second half. Both did not get reps with the first team because Baker Mayfield, it's on record, was not getting first team reps as the backup quarterback because that's just how the NFL works. It's another one that fans don't understand. Baker won the game. Baker came in when we were losing. Baker won the game. Shedeur came in with a lead, and we lost because Shedeur literally couldn't do anything. So they hate Dylan Gabriel because we don't score and we don't move the ball, but they love Shedeur, who came in and scored 0 points and a half, 4 of 16, lost the game because he wasn't accurate. He made bad reads, and people are just making up a million excuses, which is totally fine. But I've been around the NFL a long time and a fan of it for a long time. The backup quarterback, any position, the backup's job is to prepare as if they're the starter. That has always been a thing in the NFL. If you've ever heard a backup quarterback talk, they always say that. They say, I go out and prepare as if I'm starting this week because that's my job as a backup quarterback. I could be in at any given snap. Everyone knows that. So for the people out there that are like, the Browns are sabotaging Shedeur, it's like, you don't know football. They're not going to give him snaps. He needs to do his own work. And then, Kevin Stefanski came out today and said that he actually spends time with Shedeur. He has been before and after practice working with him. So for people that are like, Stefanski hates him, he's racist, blah, 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 they're just ignorant. And I just ignore people that say stuff like that. But
well, they have the inside information. Clearly, you don't.
Yeah,
so you
naturally. I've also reached a point, which is a term that I use that a lot of people use it on the Tony Rizzo YouTube chat. It's called Shedeur fatigue. We all kind of hit Shedeur fatigue because every show in the city just has talked about Shedeur every day for the last 3 months. And everyone's kind of like, dude, he'll play when he plays. Like, shut up about him. It's just annoying at this point. Now that he's playing, same thing. All they talk about. Like Rizzo, it's hilarious. Rizzo would shit on Gabriel after his first start in Minnesota. His show on Monday morning started off with, when is it Shedeur time? And he's done that every fucking day until Shedeur played on Sunday. And now this week, he's literally going, I don't know, should I jump off the wagon of Shedeur? Did I see enough on Sunday? Like, he's already going out. He's off the wagon. People were roasting him in the comments on YouTube, so he shut the chat down. And then he needs that viral moment. It's all he lives for, is being the talk. He did that today. They had Tony Grossi on. He started his fake yelling thing, acting pissed off. And Grossi was even Grossi is sick of it. Everyone knew it was a fake thing, that nobody believed Riz was actually that furious. But yeah, the Shedeur fatigue is it's real. Everyone's just talked about him for so long, and everyone's kind of just fucking give it up. He'll play when he plays. Let's just be patient. And then he played and he looks like shit. And now everyone's backtracking. And then, guys are sensitive when they're like, all the voicemails on the show were like, hey, Riz, your boy finally got in. He looked really good, didn't he? Like, I bet you're happy he finally played. And Riz was like, yeah, I never bashed Gabriel. I never said anything bad about Gabriel. And everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You shit on the dude every chance you got. So it's just funny that we're reaching a point where Browns fans are dividing between Shedeur fans. And I'm a Browns fan. Don't get me wrong. If Shedeur goes out there and balls, great. We have our quarterback of the future. Fantastic. I don't care. I just want, a good quarterback. But again, he can't go out there and play mediocre. To me, that's don't get hooked. The Browns better not go, you know what? I think we can work with him a little bit more. Like, he's either great or get the fuck on. Move on from him. With that being said, I don't know if you have anything more you want to add. I was going to rip through the picks really quick.
We watched it. Jess and I watched it while laying in bed on Sunday. That's pretty much how lame we were this weekend. And we were both like, I can't believe they're winning. Oh, I actually 100% believe they lost. And that was pretty much how our entire thing was. It's like, it is what it is.
And that was another one today on the radio. They were saying, they were like, what would the narrative be on him this week if he went out there and he won that game at the end? And they were like, he threw that pass to Gage Larvin, and I thought, oh my God, the Browns are going to win. And I was the guy in the comment who was being realistic, and I go, you guys realize when he threw that pass, they were down 7. So if he catches that ball, they don't win the game. They tie it at best because they'd have to still kick the extra point. And then somebody in the comments, because I comment a lot on there with a lot of people, the same people. So like there's a little community, if you will. So one of the guys knows that I'm not a fan of Shedeur. And he's like, oh, how pissed would you have been if Shedeur threw that touchdown at the end? I said, I wouldn't have been pissed at all. I said, if he threw that touchdown to Gage Larvin, I said, I'm confident Lamar Jackson would have drove the Ravens down for the game-winning field goal. And he just laughed. And he's like,
let's not disregard the fact that Myles Garrett is having his career best year right now. 4 sacks in one game. He is already tied, I think, his season best.
He set a new NFL record for the most consecutive seasons with 12 or more sacks. He has 6, and I think he either has 6 or 7 in a row, and Lawrence Taylor had 5 or 6. So he surpassed Lawrence Taylor for the best.
He's on track to break the season record this year. I think he could take it from Strahan easily this year.
He is 7.5 sacks away from tying the record with 6 games to go. So he's got a little work to do, but very doable for him. He gets a couple sacks a game.
It is Strahan that owns the record, right?
Strahan and Watt tied. Watt tied it. Okay. So this would basically shut everybody up if he can break it for all the TJ Watt people out there. Literally, there's no better rebuttal or trumping of any TJ Watt chat other than who holds the all-time record. He's literally the greatest of all time in a season. You can't deny that. He had the greatest season ever for a pass rusher. So that would be really cool. I hope nothing but the best. I think this Sunday is a huge game for him. I'm sure the Raiders' offensive scheme is going to be to chip him, double team him, and for Geno to get the ball out very quickly, which is easier said than done because the Raiders don't have a good offensive line. But I mean, I'm sure you saw, the Browns-Steelers game. They were able to shut Myles out because of exactly that. Aaron Rodgers gets the ball out faster than almost any quarterback in the league. They made sure to game plan to get Myles out of the game, and it worked perfectly. So if other teams can do that, more power to them. But Geno Smith is no Aaron Rodgers, so I'm not too concerned about it on Sunday. But I'll talk more about that when we do our Browns.
Kevin getting spanked a little bit right now.
I'm watching it. Craig Porter just hit a 3. It's 27-19, minute and a half to go. Not too bad. The Cavs were actually down like 7-0 to start the game. Okay, they just hit a 3 now. But the Cavs were down like 7-0 or 9-0 or something like that, and they came back and took the lead. So it's it's the NBA. They go back and forth a ton. We'll see how it goes. I mean, the Cavs offense is definitely a little off this year. I think not having Strus, not having Garland healthy is hurting. And then the Cavs have actually played the most games in the NBA so far, and that's why they got fined the other day. We'll talk about that later too. But I'm not worried about them. They come in bunches when it comes to points. But let's do a quick recap here of the week that was Thursday Night Football. We had the Jets and the Patriots, and the Patriots win 27-14. George,
the Patriots, are they legit? Are they a playoff contending deep playoff run?
Definitely a playoff. They're definitely a good playoff team. I don't think they're legit though, because if you kind of go through and actually look at who they've played a lot of bad teams. I mean, they beat the Saints, they beat the Jets, they beat the Browns. They have a couple decent wins. in their resume. But overall, I don't think they're there yet. I don't think they have the talent. I think Drake May is a really good quarterback. I think I was pretty adamant and on record last year when the draft happened that Drake May was my favorite quarterback coming out last year. I thought he was the best one coming out, and he ended up going third, I think. And he's, as of right now, he's the best quarterback in that class. So, kudos to me for being right again. But I'm very modest.
Very humble of you. Very humble.
The Patriots are good. They're very good. I think they're maybe a couple years away and a couple good drafts away from, loading up on some players.
Crazy,
I think they're
crazy what a good coach would do for your team, man. It really does.
Yeah, that's a lot of people say that. They're always like, "Oh, Mike Vrabel," but Drake May is. Last I checked, he was one of the top front runners for MVP. So that also really helps your team when you got your quarterback who's an MVP candidate.
This team with the coach they had last year would not have been doing this. I really do think
But
it's a dynamic change for sure.
Mike Vrabel is a great coach. I liked Mike Vrabel a lot when he was with Tennessee, but they also had Gerard Mayo, who I think was an awful hire at head coach, and he had no idea what the fuck he was doing at the NFL level. And then on top of it, you give Josh McDaniels, who is obviously a Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator. He's now working with Drake May. So they have a really good staff there. And, the talent at the quarterback position is really, I said it all day today to people that are, bitching and moaning about the Browns. And they're like, what do you do in the offseason? Do you fire Stefanski? Do you fire Barry? What do you do here? What do you do there? And I keep saying, I'm like, a good quarterback cures everything. That's literally the cure for everything. Get a quarterback. So really quick here. Yeah, we'll go through the picks. Miami ends up winning in overtime against Washington because Marcus Mariota threw an interception, and the Commanders kicker couldn't hit a fucking thing, and they ended up cutting him the next day. So Commanders lose. Their season is just about over. Speaking of seasons being over, Carolina beats the Atlanta Falcons. Michael Penix Jr. goes under season-ending knee surgery the other day. He's done for the year. Kirk Cousins will be the starter for the rest of the season, and he has been pure dog shit every time he's played. So if you are a betting man, take the opponents of the Falcons every week. The other funny thing that sucks for the Falcons, if you're a Falcons fan, they traded their first round pick this year to the Rams to get was it Michael Pierce, the defensive end out of Tennessee, or James Pierce? I forgot his first name, but I know it's Pierce. But they traded for the defensive end out of Tennessee. They traded back into the first round. So the Rams are a legitimate Super Bowl contender, and they also are going to have a top 10 draft pick because of the Atlanta Falcons. So kudos to the Rams for being a very smart franchise. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose to the Buffalo Bills. I saw that coming a mile away. That's Baker for you. I knew the beginning of the season for Baker was a fluke. I told everybody that would listen. I said Baker's going to snap back to reality. That's just what he does. And sure as shit, he has snapped back to reality. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
He's not there yet. Give it time. He'll be all right.
They are tied with they have. What do they have? Are they tied with the Panthers right now for the division, or are they like maybe a game apart? But that's a close division race there in the South. Houston beats Tennessee I think they went to overtime. I got to expand my screen here. Maybe no, it was a last-second field goal. That's right. It wasn't overtime. It was a last-second field goal. But Houston beats Tennessee 16-13. I also saw other people that are trying to just pretend that Cam Ward's good. All of a sudden, they're like, Cam Ward finally had his good game as a quarterback. And I looked at the stats. He was 24 of 37 for 190 yards. He averaged 5 yards a pass. Like, if that's good, that's a fucking low bar for the number one overall pick.
Did he have any touchdowns?
He had one touchdown. Sorry. Yeah, one touchdown, 190 yards, 5 yards a pass, and they lost. And they scored 13 points. And people were like, yeah, look, it took Cam Ward 10 weeks to get it figured out. And I'm like, that's figuring it out at the NFL level? You consider that figuring it out? That's a Dylan Gabriel game. Like, that's not impressive to me. Chicago wins a close one with a last-second field goal, 19-17 over Minnesota. Green Bay wins a nail-biter, 27-20 over the Giants. Jordan Love got hurt, missed a little bit of time, came back and won the game. Cincinnati gets their asses kicked by the Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought that game would be a little bit closer, but Pittsburgh played a little dirty. TJ Watt had a penalty for a roughing the passer call where he kind of roughed up Joe Flacco, literally, and Joe Flacco was never the same after that game, or after that play.
He drove him into the ground with his arm.
Into the ground.
Yeah.
Yep. And then after that, Flacco was awful. He couldn't complete passes, threw a pick six. It was just an ugly game for them. So Pittsburgh gets the W there. But also to note, Aaron Rodgers has a broken bone in his wrist. He is questionable for Sunday, but others think he is going to miss some time, which will definitely impact the Steelers' season moving forward because they are not a very good team.
Just a little dab in the tongue.
I think it'll be fine. Yeah, if you just take a little Molly before the game, you won't feel that wrist until after. You'll be fine. The Chargers get their asses kicked by the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's very, very, very disappointing for me.
Anyone saw that coming?
No, I thought the game would be relatively close, but it was a straight ass beating. 35-6, Jacksonville gets a W. Speaking of ass beatings, 21-19 is the final score here for the Rams and Seattle game, but that game was never as close as it actually says. Sam Darnold, I think, threw 4 interceptions. They were up like 21-3 for most of the game, and then they kind of took their foot off the gas. But Los Angeles gets a W, and Los Angeles looks like the team to beat in the West. But not too far behind is San Francisco, who took care of business with the Arizona Cardinals. They win 41-22. Baltimore beats the Browns, of course, 23-16. Kansas City loses to Denver on a last-second field goal. For all the people that hate the refs because of Kansas City getting their way, the refs fucked Kansas City in that game. I don't know if you saw it, but on the very final pass that got them into field goal range, Troy Franklin, the wide receiver for the Denver Broncos, Troy Franklin, he moved early, so they should have been a false start call, and then he pushed off the defender before he caught his pass, and they called none of it. So Kansas City takes a big L. Their season is on the line for sure, so we'll see how they handle things moving forward. Going to be weird if Kansas City's not even in the playoffs, for God's sake. Detroit loses 16-9 against Philadelphia. Philadelphia just shut them the fuck down. It was pretty ugly. I don't know what's up with Detroit, but they do not look like the same team as last year. Who else do we have? And then Monday Night Football, Dallas beats up on the Raiders 33-16. Let's hope Dallas's week is a little bit better after a Monday night game than it was 2 weeks ago. They win in Las Vegas, and the Raiders are garbage. The Browns must out-tank them on Sunday. They must. With that being said, we're going to skip into picks, George, really quick, only because, like I said, Kyle's got to take off at 8 o'clock, so we are going to start our picks for this week. We're going to write all those down. Then I will get into the draft lineup. I'll talk a little bit about basketball, which I'm watching the Cavs game. I will break down the Browns game, and I don't know if you were here yet, George, but I do plan on probably stopping the show earlier than normal just because I've got so much to do today. So, with that being said, it is time for our week. You did? Okay, I wasn't sure if you were there or not. It's time for our Week 12 picks.
Let's put you on in the car, brother. I got you guys. I'm
you go
in the car, man. Heard
Look at you go
about my wife starting up the show on time, and
great job. Kyle and I were literally mid-sentence, and all of a sudden it just stopped, and it says your stream started. And I was like, "Oh shit, I'm not used to that." Usually we're like, "All right, George, we're ready to roll," and you do it. She was like 7 o'clock on the nose. She's not fucking around, man. I like that. We have some discipline. We needed it. All right, let's get right into it. Thursday Night Football. Does anybody want the Houston Texans?
No.
Did not think so. CJ Stroud is still out. With that being said, give me Buffalo -6.
Ooh, all right.
I don't think Davis Mills is going to be able to keep up with Josh Allen, who's coming off a historic game with 3 rushing touchdowns and 3 passing touchdowns. It is Thursday Night Football, which is always ass. Most teams always look tired, and the games are usually pretty bad. So we'll see how this one goes. But I don't know. I'm confident. I like that. Give me Buffalo minus the points. Next up, there's not a lot of games. Oh no, this is just the 1 o'clock hour. Pittsburgh and Chicago. Pittsburgh at Chicago, I should say. Chicago's favored -2.5. I don't like either of these teams. They're so Jekyll and Hyde. Is Rodgers going to play? Is he not going to play? Who knows? Excuse me. With that being said, give me the home team. Give me the Bears.
Yep, give me the Bears too.
Ditto. I don't care who's quarterbacking for Pittsburgh.
We got a sweep. Next up, could almost say the same thing. I'm taking New England. Does anybody else want Cincinnati?
Nope.
No, I'm taking Patriots.
That's what I thought. A lot of sweeps. I feel like this week.
There may be a lot of sweeps this week.
New York and Detroit. Does anybody want New York?
No. This is actually turning into an easy pick'em here.
It's kind of funny because it looks like you could almost make, like, as of right now, I'd be confident laying all these games in a parlay, but then you know someone's going to fucking lose. Like Detroit, like New York's going to beat the Lions or something like that. Like something fucked up's going to happen. You know it. Minnesota at Green Bay.
Well, I was just gonna say I want the 10.5.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Give me Detroit giving up that 10.5.
Okay.
Fred.
You got it. Next up,
Wilson to throw 4
Sunday,
interceptions. Russell
Wilson's playing.
Jackson Dart's back on Sunday.
Yeah, Dart should be back.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he just had a concussion. I'm assuming he'll be back, and then
they say he'll be cleared by Thursday or Friday. He'll be ready to go Sunday.
and they made Jameis was the backup.
Well, then I don't want that.
They
Then
benched
I'll
Jameis.
stay away from that line. I'm gonna stay away from that line. Then negative. Then kill that.
I think
You
that
are
line's
correct.
gonna- I think
It
that
was
lane-
Russell
that
Wilson.
line's
I was
gonna
in on
fluctuate
it.
anyways. Once they announce Dart back, I think it's probably going to drop to like 7.5.
Yeah, if anything, I would take New York plus 10.5 today and let that wait till Jackson comes out there.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't like it. Nah.
You don't want plus 10.5 right now before Jackson comes out, George? Can I entice you on some 10.5?
Nope. There's bigger fish over there. There's bigger fish.
Next up, we have Minnesota at Green Bay. I'm taking Green Bay personally because they're the home team. I don't trust J.J. McCarthy. I told everybody before the draft last year, I think J.J. McCarthy sucks. I like Green Bay in this one.
Yep, give me Green Bay.
Another sweep. All right. This one, again, I'm guessing I don't even need to ask. Does anybody want Tennessee?
Oh, give me Seattle.
And this one, I will take Seattle and give up the points.
Okay, minus 13.5. You didn't learn your lesson from last week with the Jets, and you lost that one by a point, George.
That damn garbage time.
Vegas knows what they're doing, man.
Damn it.
Then we have a really, really good matchup here with the Colts and the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, the Chiefs are trying to win to survive and stay there, keep their season alive. And you have the Colts coming off a bye. The Colts lost their last game, I think. Or no, they won their last game. It was the one in England or whatever. But they are coming off a bye week. They are going to be fresh. And are they real? We'll find out. Personally, I'll go first here just because, again, we're trying to get through it pretty quickly for Kyle. Give me Kansas City.
I'm taking the Colts plus the 3.5 here.
And I'm also taking the Colts.
That makes me feel better about my pick. Give me. Does anybody want the Jets?
Nope,
No.
Baltimore.
I was gonna say I took Jacksonville last week, I believe. So
You did not.
no,
So I haven't gone through our scores, but no, you took.
I thought I did. Took the Chargers.
Yeah, we all took the Chargers. All three of us. You took Tennessee, and you took the Giants, which were both really bad picks. But you did both of those.
Poop the bed there.
Next up, we have obviously Browns and Raiders. We'll save for the end here. Jacksonville at Arizona. Arizona stinks. Arizona's without Marvin Harrison Jr. They have nothing on offense. I am going to have to go Jacksonville as much as it pains me to say it because I want them to lose, but I am taking the Jags.
Yep, I'm taking the Jaguars too.
Next up, we have Philly at Dallas. This is an interesting one. Philly's been playing really, really well lately. Dallas is kind of looking like they're all right. Their defense looked really good on Monday night. Their offense obviously looked unstoppable. I think this could be a really fun matchup. But Philly's a team to beat. They're the defending Super Bowl champions. I'm going to go with Philly.
Same.
I'm taking Dallas.
Okay. Kyle, you want Philly?
Yep.
Okay. And Dallas for George.
Next up, ugly to watch.
This is the prison inmate game of the week. This is the one where you're like, you know what, officer, I would rather go to the shower and drop the soap than have to watch this game in the common area. So this one is rough.
Woo.
I'll go first because give me the Saints at home. I'll take the Saints because I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's 1.5. It's basically a pick 'em game. My motto is always the home team take them. I think the Saints are coming off a bye also, so I don't like Tyler Shook, but he's also had an extra week to prepare. The Falcons are just garbage. They're a bad football team. They might be without Drake London. They're obviously without Michael Penix. They're just a bad team. So, yeah, give me the Saints. The Saints initials say it all for this game. No. That's how we should all feel if this one was on your TV.
That's how I'm going to take the Falcons. They still have Bijan Robinson. and New Orleans doesn't have much.
They've had them all year, and it hasn't helped much, George. Just going to throw that little nugget out there for you.
Well, I'm going to take the Falcons on this one.
We have Tampa Bay going to the Rams on Sunday Night Football. I know everybody loves themselves some Baker, but for me, you guys know where I stand. The Rams look like a legit NFL or a Super Bowl contender. The Buccaneers do not. So I am going with the LA Rams.
I'm going with the Rams as well.
Yep, give me the Rams. You know I like to pick Baker all the time. Give me the Rams.
I appreciate you thinking with your heart or your head instead of your heart this time. Next up, we have Monday Night Football, Carolina, San Francisco. On paper, this game looks like dog shit, but then when you actually look at the standings, you're like, this game's pretty impressive because Carolina, again, if Tampa Bay loses on Sunday and Carolina wins, they could, I think, be in first place in the South. And San Francisco is actually they're pretty decent. I forgot their record on the year. What are they, 7-2, 8-2, George?
7-4.
7-4, okay. They're 7-4. Not a bad year at all, especially for all the injuries they've had to go through. So,
yeah, they're not doing too bad. And with Brock back, I mean, it kind of helps.
Yeah, no, that's a huge start. But I mean, even with Mac Jones, they were still finding ways to win.
I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina surprises somebody here, though. To be honest, they've been playing some interesting football.
You know, and that is the thing is Carolina has been coming on strong. So
they've pretty much been an underdog in like every game, and they've found ways to win. It's crazy. Almost the Cavs game. It's exciting.
I don't think it's going to be by 7, guys. I think it's going to be a lot damn closer.
No, that +7 is intriguing. To be honest, my pick. I'm comfortable with Buffalo, but interesting.
Yeah, that 7 is seriously. When I saw it, I'm going, are you guys sure? No, okay.
With that being said, though, I am going to take the San Francisco 49ers to win at home. I'll take them on the money line, but I'm not taking them. Yeah, I'm not touching the spread.
Well.
Yeah, I'm even going to try to work a little bit extra on Monday so I can sleep in on Tuesday and not have to start at 6 a.m. because I really would like to make this an official. Finally, I get to sit and watch a whole football game. I really would like to do.
You got to bite the bullet, George. I stay up and watch every game and get up at 6. It's all good. You'll be fine.
No, I've always got something going on with Bryce and got to go back and forth and do whatever. But it's like, yeah, if I could sit and veg and watch this one, I definitely would.
Nothing better than for me, at least Monday night and Sunday night football games. I lay in bed and watch the fourth quarter. It's just so nice to just lay in bed and watch a football game. I don't know what it is. It's relaxing. And that gets us to our final game here. We'll get George's pick really quick, and then Kyle and I will quickly break it down as we wrap up with
2 minutes here. So here
we go. 2 minutes. So George, who do you got?
As much as Vegas has got a lot, I'm gonna go with the Browns on this one. I know it's shoot yourself in the foot and lose a draft spot, but yeah, I'm taking the Browns on this one. I think Vegas is that bad.
They really are.
The over-under looks disgusting.
Yeah, the over-under is terrible. You have 2 bad offenses and 1 good defense with the Browns. So it is a pick your poison of shit. The one thing that I'm holding my hat on is the Browns' defense travels like guacamole. That's the best way I can describe it. Their defense is garbage on the road for some reason. So I am hoping that shit defense shows up. Give me a couple sacks for Myles Garrett. You know, let's get to that record so he can set the NFL record. But give me a fucking L. I need Geno Smith to hit fucking Brock Bowers all day. Give me 150 yards for Brock Bowers. Give me 2 touchdowns for Bowers. Give me Ashton Genty for 100 yards on the ground and a touchdown. And give me a Browns L. I'll take Tyler Lockett too.
Tyler Lockett is fucking the Raider. Yeah, remember Tyler Lockett got signed by the Raiders a couple of weeks ago. So that's
I am taking the Raiders. I just he went 25%. I don't trust Shedeur Sanders to not do something stupid. He's going to turn the ball over. I think it's going to be a battle of who can just protect the football. And Geno Smith is a turnover machine, but I also think Shedeur Sanders will be a turnover machine. So I don't know. I'm going with my heart here. I want the Browns to lose. Give me the Raiders.
I'm going to take the home team. I mean, our home team. Give me the Browns.
Bold choice. I respect it. I want to. Don't get me wrong. I feel like the Browns are going to win this game, but I don't want them to. I don't want to ruin our draft spot. I want Mendoza so fucking bad. But what can you do? We'll see what happens on Sunday night. But all right, we're going to say goodbye to Kyle so he can get on that call. Look at that. We're good. We timed that out perfectly. Kyle, thanks for joining us, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later, guys. See you.
See you later.
Later.
And that will get us into what we were going to talk about earlier. We were going to start the show off. I'll talk about the Raiders-Browns when we wrap everything up later. We'll come back to it. I'll give more of a breakdown. Not that there's much I really have to say. We really quickly, let's go to Bernie. I skipped over that in the beginning just because we were in a hurry. So Bernie Kosar was able to get his liver transplant on Sunday, or Monday morning. First thing Monday morning, they performed the surgery. Shout out to, I forgot his name off the top of my head. My apologies. There was a young man who I believe was 21 years old. He had some medical issues. He passed away. Huge Browns fan, local kid. He passed away, and they were able to give his liver to Bernie Kosar, which was, phenomenal. It's a shame because when you think about it, and I hope he was joking, but there's a guy that I'm friends with on Facebook who made a post, and he said, come on, Browns fans, if you're such big fans of Bernie Kosar and you love the Browns so much, how come none of you are donating your liver? And I kind of wanted to be like, you can't live without one, right? But I couldn't tell if he was joking or not, so I was like, I'm not engaging, so I didn't say anything. But I think he might have been serious, but I don't know. So anyway, I didn't say anything to him, but that I hope he was joking. But Bernie Kosar, again, a young man did have to pass away, and Bernie Kosar did get his liver. He is making regular video updates, letting everybody know that he's doing well. My understanding is that when you get a liver transplant, the first 48 hours are the most critical because you have to make sure your body's going to take it. And as of right now, no news is good news. I think everything's going well, which is great. We all love Bernie. He was a legend quarterback here in Cleveland. I remember growing up because I was born in '89, so I wasn't alive to actually really watch Bernie play. So I just have stories that I was told.
It was phenomenal.
I've seen videos. Don't get me wrong. I love every time I've watched Bernie play football. It's great. I've met him a few times. He is a fucking fun dude to be around. He is just what you see on social media or in a video of him being nice. It is 100% him in real life. He is the nicest dude I've ever met. Great guy. So, obviously he's a legend in Cleveland. So, as a kid growing up, I thought well, he must be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And then I actually looked up the stats and I was like, okay, no, he wasn't that great. He was great for Cleveland. And don't get me wrong, he won games. His stats weren't the best, but he found ways to win, which is great. I'll never knock a quarterback for that. But I just, again, because of the pedestal that fans put him on, I thought he was literally going to have Hall of Fame numbers when I first heard of the guy. And that's when I learned, I'm like, not so much, but local legend, great dude. I'll never take that away from Bernie. So thoughts with him.
Quarterback. Best vision. He did.
He was great. I mean, he was so fun to watch. He was a gunslinger. He took chances. He had a strong arm. Probably what cost him his liver, to be honest, was he had, I think he was a bit of a drinker. I don't want to,
he hasn't been private about it. He's been very public.
Yeah, he's been a drinker, but I was going to go a little deeper than that. So I think he was also a little bit of a pain pill guy. And obviously, when you were a football player back in the day, if you had an injury, you didn't miss the rest of the game like they do nowadays. They would take you into the locker room. They would give you a shot of something, what is it, Proparol or something like that, these pain medications. And those are worse for your liver than, decades of drinking sometimes. So I think the pain medication might have affected Bernie a little bit more than even the drinking that he did. But obviously all of it together is just a cocktail of disaster for him. And unfortunately, he had to have this liver transplant. He was looking really bad. I think I talked about it last week when he was on the Rizzo show a couple weeks ago. He legitimately looked like a skeleton almost. He looked bad. This was before his surgery. And I was like, holy shit, not to be morbid, but he looks like he's got a couple days left. And then sure enough, they're like, boom, he's in the hospital trying to get a transplant. And it's pretty urgent. So, sorry for the family who lost their son, their brother, their, family member, whatever, their friend, but he did not go in vain. He contributed to Bernie Kosar and kept Bernie going. So that's great. And, shout out to Bernie for hopefully pulling through on this one. Cause again, scary shit. So hopefully Bernie's going to be okay, and this liver's going to keep him going for a long time, and he can get back into the Cleveland scene and, call football games and be another, active in the community on radio shows and stuff like that. I love hearing Bernie talk football. It's always a great time. So shout out to Bernie Kosar. One of the things we skipped over earlier because of the time crunch we were going to do is I wanted to kind of go over the current draft order for the NFL. And the current draft order as it sits right now, George put it on the scroll. We have the Titans, the Giants, the Browns. That is why this Sunday is so important. I misspoke earlier. I said the Titans and the Saints were ahead of the Browns. Titans, Giants. Both teams do have their quarterback, they think. So, would be great for the Browns to just outright get the number 1 overall pick. I know fans don't want to hear that, but if we don't get the number 1 pick, we're more than likely going to have to trade multiple draft picks to get the quarterback they want. I would rather just lose right now than give up draft picks. I don't know why Browns fans don't understand that. There are still Browns fans out there at 2-8 that are still pissed off every day because the Browns didn't win a game. They're bitching and moaning all day, and they're going, I can't fucking believe it. The Browns suck, blah, blah, blah. They need to win on Sunday. They need to do this. And I'm like, why? Why do you want to win? You're 2-8. Your season's over. Get the draft pick. And they're like, because I'm a fan. I want to win. And I'm like, you're fucking your franchise for the next decade if you piss away a draft pick. It's happened to so many teams. There are countless teams who at one point would maybe have the number 1 overall pick, and they go out and win a game in week 17, in week 16, a meaningless game when their season's over. They win it, and they go from the number 1 overall pick where they could have had their franchise quarterback or a franchise player to the 5th pick, the 6th pick, whatever. And you have to take a chance. Don't get me wrong. You could still get a talented player. I'm not saying that's a bad spot to be in, but I'd rather have the top pick because then you can literally control everything. And then you get the top pick in every round after that too, which is great. Imagine having the number 1 pick, and then you get to pick again at 19 or wherever we get for the Jags. Then you get to pick again right at 33. That's fucking awesome. I would love that for the Browns. So sign me up for the tank. I need the Browns to lose. So the Titans and Giants more than likely are not going to be drafting quarterbacks next year. So those are teams that you need to be worried about if you're the Browns to trade out to a team like the Jets.
I only see 4, 5, and 6 really looking for the other quarterbacks.
So Jets for sure. Raiders for sure. Saints, I would say no to the Saints because this regime just drafted Tyler Shuck. So I think they're going to stick with Tyler Shuck. I don't think they're going to trade up for a quarterback.
They've drafted a quarterback almost every year, though.
Yeah, but they took Shuck early in the 2nd round. That's not somebody you give up on and after 1 year. That's a guy they're going to work with. They let him sit for a while. They wanted him to learn. They're all in on Tyler Shuck right now. I think he stinks. I think they'll end up moving on from him after next year, but I don't think they'll do it for this upcoming draft because they just took him in the 2nd round. I think it's way too early to give up on that because he was a high draft pick for them. The Commanders know the Rams via Atlanta. The Rams could be a team that might be interested in a quarterback. Matt Stafford's not getting any younger, depending on who falls to them. They could draft a guy and let him sit for a year or two, depending on who's there. I mean, Matt Stafford's like 40 years old, so they got to start thinking about the future. The Bengals, no, more than likely. The Cardinals, yes, they are in the quarterback market. The Dolphins will probably be in the quarterback market. Vikings should be in the quarterback market, but I doubt they will. The Cowboys, no. Ravens, no. Chiefs, no. Texans, no. Panthers, probably not. Lions, no. Browns, yes, but obviously, we'll see what happens. And then after that, I'm looking on the right-hand side here. Do we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? No. Steelers, yes. Chargers, no. Niners, no. Dallas, no. Chicago, no. Buffalo, no. Seattle, probably not.
Probably not.
Sam Darnold's a good stopgap quarterback, but I think he stinks. But they also drafted Jalen Milroe, so I think they have a good guy to sit there and wait. Yeah. So I would say no to Seattle. The Jets, obviously, yes, and that's who you need to be afraid of to move up to 1 or 2 with that extra draft pick. Philly, no. Rams, again, yes, possibly. Patriots, no. Broncos, no. So that rounds you out. So, yeah, there are a decent handful of teams, but again, the one thing you need to be worried about are the teams with the extra assets, and the Jets have a ton of draft picks this year. Jets are the number 1 team that I'm worried about to jump the Browns for Mendoza, and with that being said, the Browns just need to lose, because if you win on Sunday, you already lost to the Jets. That was fantastic. They did a great job. If you win against the Raiders then jump you in the draft. The Jets will jump you because there's no way the Jets are beating the fucking Ravens on Sunday, and those 2 teams are taking a quarterback. So you have now put yourself in position to maybe get the 3rd best quarterback in the draft, which might not be a bad thing, but It also could be a horrible thing. You never know. There's only one way to find out. Again, give me the number one overall pick. So it's you make your decision and you live with it. You don't have to put your franchise in the hands of another team. So that's where I stand on the matter of the draft. With that being said, we will shift gears and we'll talk a little bit about the NBA. The Cavaliers were fined $100,000 the other day for resting their players in Miami. Again, as I mentioned earlier when I talked a little bit about it with Kyle, the Cavs have played the most games in the NBA. The Cavs are 10-5. They've played 15 games, the most in the NBA. They have played multiple back-to-backs, and we have only been in the season for a month. So we are 1 month into the season. The Cavs have played at least, I think, 3 back-to-backs. They have played... Somebody did the math the other day. I forgot how much it was. It was like they played 6 games in 8 nights or something like that, or whatever, 6 games in 9 nights or something like that. They've played a lot of basketball. So for people out there, and they're already shorthanded. They already don't have Darius Garland, who got hurt when he made his return. They already don't have Max Strus, who's out. They have Lonzo Ball, who he won't play on back-to-backs because of his injuries. So you have a guy right there that you're one man short. Sam Merrill's missed a handful of games. Larry Nance has missed a handful of games. They've had a lot of guys miss some time. So resting a couple star players, more than okay with that. You're never going to hear me complain. So fuck it. Dan Gilbert will cut a check for $100,000. I don't care. Fuck the NBA for that, because look around the league. You have Jason, just off the top of my head, Jason Tatum out for the year. Tyrese Halliburton out for the year. Kawhi Leonard always missing time. You have Giannis now hurt, missing a couple of weeks. You have Victor Wembanyama hurt, missing a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. These injuries in the NBA are piling up, and that's just off the top of my head. I'm going to stop there, but there are so many more players I could talk about. Fred VanVleet tore his ACL. He's out for the year. Not that he's a superstar, but he's a really good player. There are injuries just piling up left and right in the NBA. So for a team to go, you know what? I'm going to do what's best for my organization. I'm going to let them rest on the night before a back-to-back. I don't give a shit. I am all for it. The NBA wants to fine them. Shame on the NBA for being stupid, in my opinion. But I hold no issues with the Browns or with the Cavs doing that. None at all. And again, the Cavs are playing right now. They are getting their asses kicked. They're struggling to score. Donovan Mitchell, I think, has 2 points, and we're a minute away from halftime. So he is a dude who was averaging 30 points a game. He was like the second leading scorer in the NBA. He is struggling today. He's missed a bunch of open threes. He missed the layup a minute ago. He is just having a very, very, very off night. So we'll see if he can get it together for the second half. But right now, not looking good. Not looking good. Cavs are down by 13 with a minute to go, and Kevin Durant is shooting a technical free throw. So they'll more than likely go into halftime with a double-digit plus lead against the Cavs. Not good. But the Cavs, there's no lead too big for the Cavs to make a comeback on. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you that. So we'll see how that goes for the rest of the evening. I really don't want to talk about college yet. It's too early for the fucking they released the playoff rankings and stuff like that, but it's going to fluctuate. I don't really care.
There's still 3 more weeks yet.
Yeah, it's too early. Like people get up in arms about it, and for me, I'm like, I don't care. Just wait till it actually starts. I don't give a shit.
That's why I've been trying to avoid it. That's why I tried to avoid it last night. I was like, it's going to change.
I complain about it on here all the time, and I'll talk about it again. We're in a day and age where everyone is. Maybe I should try it. Maybe that's what I'm missing for this show is having clickbait material, because that's all anybody does anymore. They just like to do things to get people riled up. So there's a part of me that feels like even NCAA is doing that, where they're going to put a team out there that is not deserving just because it's going to get people to talk about it. It's going to get people to go, oh, I can't believe they made it over this team, and I can't believe they're ranked higher than them, and it's going to get everybody in the world talking about it for a week. Like, I think, what is it, Notre Dame? Everyone's bitching about Notre Dame and how they got ranked at a certain spot. And what's everyone doing? They're talking about it all fucking day. For me personally, again, I don't care. I avoid it. I scroll right past all that shit. It doesn't bother me one bit. So I am not going to entertain their clickbait. But again, that's the day and age that we're in. We are in a day and age where people say things, and I think that's exactly what's happening with, I talk about, I like his show. I like his content. Don't get me wrong. So I don't want to sound like I'm, knocking the guy, but Tony Rizzo spends a lot of his time on his show trying to go viral. And you can tell he's trying to go viral. He's literally, yelling and ranting and raving about things that like really aren't that important. Like most of it is Shedeur. He's complaining about Shedeur and how he's not practicing. He wasn't getting playing time, and now he wasn't practicing, and blah 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 blah. And it's all fake. Like, dude, he's a 5th round pick. What professional, radio host, talk show host, whatever, has ever gotten that worked up over a 5th round pick before in their lives? Nobody. You're doing it for clicks because it's Shedeur Sanders. People are going to watch it. And if you look at the comments, anytime anyone talks about Shedeur, they're split. I said it earlier. There are Browns fans and there are Shedeur fans. And the Shedeur fans don't know football really that well. So they go on and they recycle words that they hear. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. So there are words that get thrown around on social media where people, this to me, this is how I judge a lot of people and their sports knowledge. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about it on here already. Hospital ball. The term hospital ball was being used on social media by people that don't actually know football, that think a quarterback has to place a ball so perfectly that a guy is not in danger of getting hit. That is impossible. That is not how football works. So the term hospital ball, for me, is a term where I go, okay, you don't know football if you're using the term hospital ball because it's a word that you saw on social media, so now you're trying to use it. So I go, okay, you don't know football. Then it turned into reps. Reps was the big one. Why isn't Shedeur getting reps? And I said, okay, they don't really know what they're talking about because backup players don't get reps. So that was one where I'm like, all right, these people don't know football. Now the new one for this week is the offensive line didn't know Shedeur's cadence. So people are starting to talk about his cadence. And there was a guy who brought that to me yesterday. He tried to use that in an argument. And I straight up told him, I said, all due respect, I said, I've been following the NFL and the draft process for 20 plus years. I thought Shedeur sucked when he was a prospect. I said, I'm sticking to that. And he used the word cadence in his argument to me at first. And I responded back with, and again, I have a feeling you've never used the word cadence in a football argument until today because you just heard it. And I said, so with that, I'm not going to entertain a conversation with you. Have a good night. And I moved on from the conversation. But like, I could tell these guys just find these key words and they just glom onto them. And I'm like, no, I can't talk to somebody like that. So I quickly shifted gears and ended the conversation with that guy. But, that's just where we are with sports. And, as I said, I'm probably going to wrap the show up a little earlier. So we might do let's go 8:30, George. That sound good to you?
Perfect.
That works for me. We had to kind of rush through the first hour for Kyle. So I'm trying to re-navigate the waters, which we're doing.
You're doing fine.
I will spend probably the last, 10 minutes or so here talking about the Browns and Raiders. We didn't get a whole lot of chance to dig into that. So we'll wrap up the show with more of a preview, an in-depth preview. And as Kyle asked me earlier, what can Shedeur do to win me over as a believer, if you will? He's a 5th round pick. Not a lot to believe in. To me, I look at it, if you're a 1st round pick, a 2nd round pick, and I'll maybe dabble with the 3rd, maybe you can convince me that you can turn into a good quarterback. After that, it's so rare. There's 2 examples you can use in the history of football for the most part. Dak Prescott, I think, was like a 4th round pick, wasn't he, or 5th round pick? He was a later pick. And then obviously Tom Brady was a 6th round pick. And
Tom and Brock are the only 2 I can think of.
Yeah, and then of course you have Brock Purdy, who, I mean, don't get me wrong, Brock Purdy's a good quarterback for that system, but I don't think Brock Purdy's, I don't think
wouldn't do what he's doing anywhere else.
No, exactly. He's in a perfect situation. I don't think he's not a Hall of Famer. He's not an MVP caliber quarterback. He's a good quarterback, but even still, you got him with the last pick in the whole draft. So that's impressive right there. That's a great problem to have if you're a team. And then obviously if you want to go back, 20 years ago, you can say Tony Romo because he was undrafted, but finding a quarterback outside of the top 1st round for the most part is very rare. It's very rare to do. You've got, I think, Jalen Hurts was a 2nd or 3rd round pick. So there are some decent.
Russell Wilson was a 3rd.
Russell Wilson was a 3rd. Russell Wilson, I think, also was kind of the product of his environment. I think they had the best defense in the league, and that really helped them on offense. And Marshawn Lynch was a beast because obviously Russell Wilson, when he's moved to other places, hasn't looked anywhere near the player he was with that Seattle team. So I think he was kind of similar to Brock Purdy, where he was just in a perfect situation. But again, not knocking Russell Wilson. He's a Super Bowl champion, had a really good run with Seattle. But at the same time, perfect situation. And that's what I said earlier with, I was talking with people about Fernando Mendoza, and there was a guy online who said he doesn't like Fernando Mendoza for whatever reason, blah, blah, blah. And I just responded, and, I was nice. I just said, personally, I'm a big Mendoza believer. I said, but with that being said, he needs to go to the proper situation because I think the Jets are a bad organization. So Fernando Mendoza is a good quarterback, but if he goes to the Jets, there's a very good chance he's a bust. Does that mean Fernando Mendoza is bad? No, that could just mean that the Jets are bad because look at some of these quarterbacks that have resurrected their career. Speaking of the Jets, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, quarterbacks that were terrible on the Jets. Then they found other places to go and they resurrected their career. Daniel Jones, there are guys that do that. So I personally really like Fernando Mendoza. I want him on the Cleveland Browns in the worst way. And I do think there is a perfect situation for certain players. I feel bad for whoever gets drafted by the Raiders this year. I feel bad for whoever gets drafted by the Jets this year. Those are bad organizations who I really don't think have a plan. If you look at the Raiders from top to bottom, what they've done in the last couple of years, they spent their top 10 draft pick or top 15 draft pick last year on a tight end. Brock Bowers is a really good player, but when you have all those holes in your team, you're taking a tight end? Okay, questionable decision, but go for it. He had a great rookie season. Did it amount to wins? No, but he had a good rookie season. So what do they do the next year? They fire their head coach. They hire a 75-year-old in Pete Carroll, who had been out of football for years, who is also, fun fact, a 9/11, what's the word I'm looking for? Denier. He's a 9/11 denier. He has held seminars at USC playing videos of him trying to show proof that 9/11 was a hoax. This is all true, by the way. Pete Carroll is a fucking kook, for those of you that didn't know that. God. So he is a psychopath, and they hired him at 75 years old to be the head coach of a rebuilding franchise who had nothing. So they signed Geno Smith, they trade for Geno Smith. They give Geno Smith a 3-year, $90 million contract, and he has been terrible. He has been one of the worst quarterbacks in football. Then with their top 10 draft pick, they take the best running back in the draft, which sounds like a good idea. But when you're a bad team and you're 3-4 years away from being good, that running back's going to be done. Why would you do that if you're a bad organization? There's no other excuse for that other than it's the Raiders doing Raiders things. Ashton Genty was a bad pick for a team that needs a lot more than a running back. You take a running back if you're like, we have a pretty decent offense, we have a quarterback, we've got some good wide receivers, we just need a difference-making running back. That would make sense. Now, Ashton Genty is not that difference maker. I took him on, obviously I get mad at players when they suck and they ruin my gambling bets, but Ashton Genty I took to get 50 yards. I thought he could get 50 yards in his sleep. He ended with like 8.
Ooh.
Yeah, pretty bad day for Ashton Genty. Safe to say I won't be betting on him for quite some time. I also think it was a little premeditated. He didn't get a lot of touches, and I feel like they did that on purpose because they're trying not to wear him down because they realize that they're a bad team. So that also would make sense, but just their whole philosophy and what they're doing and all of that just does not make sense to me. The one funny thing everyone's trying to make a story is they're saying, Shedeur's going to go out there and Shedeur's going to light it up because he wants to stick it to Tom Brady for not drafting him because him and Tom Brady were friends and they worked out together and, blah, blah, blah. And he's going to stick it to him. And for me, I look at that and I go, that should tell you everything if you're a Browns fan. The guy who worked with him firsthand, arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, depending on who you ask, worked with this dude and is now a minority owner of that team, and they need a quarterback, and he was like, no, don't touch that guy. That tells you something right there. To me, that speaks volumes.
Sure.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Shedeur Sanders ends up being a decent player, but I am not holding my breath. I saw enough on Sunday to just kind of make me sit back and go, okay, that's kind of what I expected out of this guy when he came to the NFL. I expected him to struggle to read a defense, struggle to have pocket awareness, and I get it. It was a half. I'm not burying his career for a half, but all those things he did in college that he could kind of hide behind because it was college and, against shitty opponents, he could kind of just chuck the ball up to Travis Hunter and hope for the best. You're under a magnifying glass in the NFL. You're not getting away with that shit. Sure enough, his first reps in the NFL, he goes right back to his college ways, and he looked terrible. Again, 4 of 16. The amount of people that are trying to flip that into a positive is alarming to me, that are like, well, it wasn't all bad. Look at this throw here. He did this. Look at him. He takes chances down the field. That's great for the offense. Like, he completed 25% of his passes. You'll never, ever, ever convince me that that's a good thing.
And you sitting on the bench at the end of the game, it's like, dude, I watched the cameras. Lamar Jackson was looking for him.
Yeah, I want to.
And all you saw was
Ryan
sitting on the bench.
But I agree with Rex Ryan on that aspect of you just lost the game to the Ravens where you did nothing. Like, you didn't come in and throw a couple touchdowns and it was like a fun back and forth game. You came in off the bench. You played like dog shit. Your team lost the game. You really didn't have anything to do with it aside from the negatives. So for him to act like he was all sad and just lost the Super Bowl, that was a bad look. I do agree with Rex Ryan. I think Shedeur Sanders is a media guy. He knows what to do to get media hype. His family knows that. When he did that stupid fucking pantomime video when he was getting interviewed at his locker, he did that because he knew the media would run with it. They do this shit. It's all calculated. I agree with Rex Ryan. I do think he sat on the bench for the image so people can talk about it. Otherwise, every other player, no matter what, if you lose in the fucking Super Bowl, if you lose in the AFC Championship game, those quarterbacks are going up to each other and they're hugging each other and they're congratulating the other one and giving condolences to the other one that lost. That's what you do as a pro athlete. You have a little bit of respect and you have sportsmanship. And for Shedeur to sit on the bench and pout in a game where he played a half and played like shit and had again. He came into the game. The Browns had a 16-9 lead, I think, or something like that. He came into the game at that point, and they lost the game 23-13 or to 16. So they scored no points with Shedeur. Really, never came close to scoring any points with Shedeur. And he threw an interception. 12 incompletions. Not that big of a deal for him to sit on the bench and pout like that, to act like he just lost the Super Bowl. I felt like that was childish and stupid. And just, he does all these little dumb things where I'm kind of like, dude, just fucking go out there, play quarterback, and shut up. I don't like when quarterbacks have fucking smart mouths when they're not good. That's what rubbed me the wrong way with Baker. Baker was fun when we won because you're winning games and you're like, oh, yeah, he's got this funny quote. And then after a loss, he's up there and he's all moody and he's like, well, boo. And it's like, no, you got to keep the same energy one way or the other. And kind of the same with Shedeur. Shedeur's out there like, oh, everything's great and pantomiming and having fun and blah, blah, blah. And then after a loss, he's going to pout on the bench. It's like, no, dude, keep that fucking positive energy up there. Go out there and shake Lamar Jackson's hand and, whatever. Be an adult, basically.
Grow up. You're right. Grow up. My mom always said, grow the F up.
Yep. And that's exactly what he needs to do.
Grow up.
All right. With that being said, go Raiders. I want the Browns to lose. So we're going to do just the tip here. We're going to wrap everything up. It is perfect timing. It's halftime of the Cavs game. I can go take a shower, get out, and watch the rest of the game and watch the floor.
Oh, where did it go? No. It's right there. Hold on that quick second. Where did it go? Do you
have a tip this week, George?
Actually, I was going to bring up the floor again because it has been dicey. There's been, even though there's a large piece of that floor right now,
huge chunk is a hot commodity,
buddy. It is changing hands quite a bit and quite.
Yeah, quickly. It is a highly sought after commodity right now on the floor. If you're not familiar with the floor, that is the show on Fox, 8:00 on Wednesday nights, hosted by Rob Lowe. Really good show. I love it. I think George and I don't remember, did you turn me on to it or did we just happen to realize? Yeah, you did tell me about it. Yeah. So
and then you went
interesting. It was coming. I'm hooked. It is a show that I watch every week now with my wife. We are big fans of the floor. We love trying to play along. It's a very fun game if you're watching it at home. It's interactive. It makes you really test your knowledge. There are categories where I'll look at her and I'm like, I'm not going to get a fucking single one of these. I have no idea. Then there's other ones where you get it and you're kind of like, I didn't know I knew that. So it's really fun. It's a really good game. Again, it's something I could see they could truthfully, I feel like there's a way they could market this to where you could play it at home, whether it's on an app or something like that. There's no doubt in my mind they should be marketing this because this would be a fun party game.
Absolutely. And
I would play it all the time.
And that's the best part about it is anybody can literally be interactive and play it. Kids.
Yeah. And
when
yeah,
section, it was like on like Donkey Kong,
There's cartoons, there's ancient history, there's categories from top to bottom where you're like anybody could play this. There's a category for everybody out there. So definitely recommend the floor.
Category swap thing.
I love it.
That is whoever finally sat down and thought of that one. Bravo.
Because it used to just kind of be like you go up there and you either you just keep going, basically. There's really no need to strategize. Now you have to strategize. That's a brilliant decision because now you're like, all right, I'm going to wait. I need to beat this person, this person, this person, get to there. By that point, I can pick if I want a time boost or if I want a pick swap. And then you look and you go, where will I end up? I can take that person's pick, and I know that one really well. Like, it's just, you really are thinking, it's chess. It's turned into human chess, and it is fantastic. I am a huge fan of the floor.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, so far we've seen that category swap. It's like, oh yeah, we haven't played my category yet. Oh, I'm gonna swap it and take yours, and then play you with my own category later. You don't know. It's like, wow, that is cold-hearted.
I love it. That's the way to do it, though. I love it. I'm a huge fan of game shows like that. Like, it's very different in terms of the style of the show, but there's a show on the Game Show Network called Chain Reaction. We might have talked about it before. I love that show. That's one of my favorite game shows. I record every episode. I try to watch it every chance I get. I love trying to solve the puzzles. But I digress. Thank you, though, George, for talking about the floor. I'm never gonna shut that down. I love that show. So hype it up as much as you can. Let's hopefully they keep going with more seasons. My tip this week is the Black Phone 2. I was a huge fan of the Black Phone 1, the original movie. That came out with Ethan Hawke as the grabber, where he goes around kidnapping kids, and the one kid's sister has like a telepathic ability. Spoiler alert for those of you that have never seen it, but the movie's been out for like 5 years now, so if you haven't seen it, that's on you. There's a guy in town who kidnaps kids, locks them up in his basement, kind of plays games with them. Once they start disobeying him, that like turns him on to another level, and he ends up killing the kids, and they go missing. This kid that he kidnaps, though, again, his sister has like telepathic powers. She starts having visions of like, he's here, this is happening, that's happening. And then the kid has a little bit of that in his blood too. So there's a phone in the den or the basement, I'm sorry, of the guy's house. And it's not plugged into anything. But this kid, because of his telepathic abilities, he can hear it ring and he answers it. And he's talking to some of the dead kids and they're telling him like some tips on what to do to get out. So it's him against the grabber and him trying to escape, his sister trying to help the police figure out where he's located. It sounds kind of weird when you say it, but if you see the movie, it makes sense. Then you get to the sequel, and I won't spoil too much of the first one because I don't want to ruin it completely. But the second one, everyone comes back somehow, even though there are some people that are alive, some people that are no longer alive. They are all back. Basically, the girl is having visions, hearing from her mom, who again, their mom had these telepathic powers when she was alive, and the belief in the movie is that she killed herself. Like she's no longer with them. They had a single dad now because their mom passed away. So the daughter starts getting phone calls from her mom, who's obviously dead, from a camp she used to work at. When she was a kid or whatever, when she was younger. So the kids, her and her brother, she's like, we have to go to this camp, and I have to figure out what happened. So they volunteer to be like camp counselors. Even though it's the winter, they're there for training to be camp counselors, and they're actually there to try to get down to the bottom of what happened to their mom and to help save other kids. Basically, I don't want to spoil anything. It's a new movie, so I don't want to give too much away. Very weird, very different from the first one because again, the first one was all living humans for the most part, except for the kid on the phone talking to the dead kids. This one involves way more spirits. So very bizarre. A lot of things happen in this movie where I'm kind of like, well, that doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. But it wasn't bad. So that's why it was my tip this week. Truth be told, I thought I'd be finished with the book Ingram from Louis C.K. by now, and if I liked it enough, I would make it my pick. But I haven't been able to read as much as I wanted to because, as I mentioned earlier, we had been cleaning and stuff all weekend. That's when I would normally, like a Saturday that we have nothing going on, I would sit around and read a book, but I wasn't able to this week. So hopefully I have Ingram finished by next week. But for right now, I was kind of desperate to figure out what I wanted to pick for my tip this week. So that's why I went with Black Phone 2. Wasn't terrible. I'll throw in a little side tip because I don't think I'll ever take it as a real tip. So, George, don't worry about a picture. But I watched The Long Walk, the Stephen King novel turned into a movie. We watched that on Saturday. That one was okay. I didn't love it. So again, it's never going to make my normal just the tip. But if you want to watch a decent movie, it's basically the story is just what the title is. This is taking place in a fictional world in the 70s, I think. Excuse me. And what they do is the government goes into towns and they do the long walk. Or I'm sorry, they take a person from like every state or something like that, and they have a long walk. And what it is literally that. They have 50 kids or 100 young men, and you have to walk until you can't walk anymore. And you can't slow your pace. If you slow your pace, if you stop and take a break, and you get 3 warnings, you get killed. So the last person standing, literally, and living wins the long walk. What you win with the long walk is you get one wish from the government, and that one wish can be anything you want. Could be the craziest wish in the world. They will grant you that wish. And you also get an undeclared amount of money, which is supposedly like life-changing money. So you get like a crazy amount of money. You get this wish for whatever the fuck you want, and you get, you win the long walk. But unfortunately, all the people you meet along the way get killed because it's whoever's the last one alive. So the premise of it sounded really good. Overall, for the movie, if I'm being honest, I hated the dialogue from a lot of the people. I just feel like for a movie that's supposed to be taking place in the 70s, even in a fictional world, people didn't talk like that in the 70s. It was just, I don't know, some of the dialogue was really weird to me, and it kind of took me out of it. And some of the acting wasn't the greatest, but overall, interesting story. It was a cool concept. I had wanted to see it for a long time. Glad I didn't see it in the theaters. I watched it for free on an illegal streaming website. So FBI for listening. Shh, you didn't hear that. But if you get a chance to watch it, definitely worth a watch. It's only like an hour and a half long, so check it out. Not the greatest thing you'll ever see, but I've watched worse, trust me. So those are my tips for this week. I like watching movies, obviously, so I try to watch as much as I can. With that being said, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to get off here. I am so excited to go take a shower, and I did get cheesecake to go from Cheesecake Factory, so I'm very excited to go snack on my cheesecake. So thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll talk to you again next week. George, thank you for everything. And Cleveland, that was for you.